Welcome to Giants Baseball Corner. We're trying that again. Something happened where I just tried to go live and it did not want to allow me to do that. We are pregame. I'm watching the IPL. My hometown, birth city, Chennai Super Kings, playing Kolkata. CSK are 157 for 6 right now. Giants are in Wrigleyville today. The rubber match after the Game 1 debacle. 4 errors in Game 1 of this series. To you by Matt Chapman, who led the team. Gappy Chappy. I think the lack of a rest day before travel might have had a significant impact on the guys. And, they went on that 17-day stretch, longest of the year, then had a day off, only one, then went down to San Diego for the brace, then without rest, back in town for, okay, mind you, the Rockies aren't very good, but it was still 4 games. And then no rest, straight to Chicago. So the Monday night game was chaotic. It wasn't just that those errors happened, though. I think for Bob Melvin, he's looking at the road trip as a unit. And he didn't want to use everybody all the time. Some decisions were made before leaving, including adding Kyle Harrison. We talked about that here, I think, on the Monday Morning Report or during one of the previous setups. So Kyle Harrison was in his back pocket, right? In case something happened. Like, what? An 11-inning game. Now, we used a lot of guys last night, but I think it was right. I like Bob Melvin for doing that. He's trying to see what the machine looks like. And when things slip up, they're glaringly clear who it is. In this case, it's Ryan Walker. And you're going to have to leave your egos outside, guys. The only way to improve is to admit exactly where the fault lay. And let's focus on that. Was it a command issue? Was it a control issue? Was it the situational issue? Was it the fact that Wisely was at second and not Fitzgerald, so something was different in your head? All those dynamics. I'm not talking about 5 or 6 or things you can quantify. Feelings. How do you feel out there when you're out there? If you look at Landon Rope, don't bring me down, Rope. He has been struggling lately because now there's video on him. He's having to do some of the things that big leaguers have to do, which is adapt to a different catcher, okay, or to a different whomever, wherever. The infield is doing much better than it was. Initially, we were doing very poorly, and the defense looked very bad. So Monday night could have looked like one of the games in early April, but it wasn't that. I think there was a group fatigue, and it all just went blah. And Bob saw that might happen. And so he used guys that were mixed in. Luis Matos gave Yastrzemski a break. We've now seen Luis Matos cover for Elliot Ramos in left effectively. Cover for Jung-Hoo Lee in center very effectively. And last night, covering for Mike Yastrzemski in right on the road at Fenway very effectively. Add to that, he's popped off a couple of homers and is making good contact, seeing the ball well. His strike zone is small. The whole team is learning how to take walks. He's pretty fast if you get him on base. Luis Matos is proving to be an excellent outfield utility player for the Giants. So he's in last night. And then with Tyler Fitzgerald out after the fractured rib, it's a 10-day. He'll be back for the Diamondbacks series when we get back to town. This gives opportunities for Christian Koss, Brett Wisely, and it was Wisely's turn. And he had moments of really great things happen to him last night. He dropped a bunt as a sacrifice that scored a run, and then in the 11th did it again. So twice this kid dropped bunts that were RBIs. He had a problem in the field that put a run on Verlander. It wasn't earned, but it put a run on him. And Wisely played well, but, here's a chance. Again, why is he in there? Koss had been playing. He'd been covering for Tyler because it's not just put the next man up. It's different. It's situational. And in this case, Bob Melvin is looking at the road trip. He's thinking about how tired they're going to be. He's going, if we're going to take a series here, which one can we toss in a way? I mean, that's not, I'm just saying, I'm talking at the managerial level, how to think about these kinds of situations, you know. And he did that. So he had Luis Matos in there, Brett Wisely in there, and guess who? It was Christian Koss also. So all the main guys were getting rest, you know. Mike Yastrzemski was getting rest, you know. These are things that you can see with Melvin that I haven't seen with a lot of managers that are personality part of who this guy is that I can see in the way he manages. That's very admirable. It's definitely my style. It's the way I like things to be. And I'm excited about it. It results in some weird moments where like guys are doing things like, why'd you do that? But then you see the bigger picture. So I think that's kind of exciting. Which brings us to the rubber match today. If you are going to do that, then you got to win the series, right? So then he committed yesterday. He used a bunch of guys. He knew he had Kyle Harrison in his back pocket. So once the guys scored a couple, he was going to throw Harrison out there anyway, basically a starter who was going to be coming in the 11th inning. He had gotten his view at different members of the pen. You know, each of them has had a blow-up. Thursday night against the Rockies, we should have won that game. That game was lost by one guy, Tyler Rogers, in a way, right? Not in a way. You just got to say it. There's a reason they have a loss as a figure, right? A statistic. And last night, it would have been the loss after the blown save by Ryan Walker. But Miller managed to get out of it and then stay in there and hold the 10th. So different from when Kapler was in charge. On this very website, we kept strict records of all of Gabe Kapler's games with extra innings, and he was very poor at managing the zombie run. Now, we didn't do such a great job ourselves in the 10th. In fact, we were set up perfectly. We had who we wanted out there, right? Adames on base, Chapman at the plate, Jung-Hoo Lee on deck. That was supposed to be when we won the game, and we didn't. 2 flyouts, you know. So I was worried. But look what Bob Melvin did. It's never over with Bob Melvin in charge. I feel much safer with the man in charge. So rubber match today, I am going to go live. I'm making some changes around here, so I thought I would check out like lighting. It's different, as you can see. And I'm not going to be so much calling the game as hanging out here during the game is what I'm going to be doing. I do want to talk about this bullpen usage, the idea of no longer having a closer and instead focusing on leveraged use of the relievers, which is what we're basically talking about here. Leveraged bullpen relief use. So that we start to learn a little bit about the different situations. Lefty-righty is the most obvious, but other things, road, home, matchups, you know. Ownage, as people used to say long before those two granddads started saying it, by the way, just to be clear. Let's see what else. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things to observe. That's a very obvious statement, isn't it? Well, I was just going to turn this on to get our frame for today's game. I am going live today during the game from right here. The game is on right there. I'm going to call the game in so much as, going to make calls. And I will have a beer, probably. Maybe smoke a doob. This is Giants Baseball Corner with your host in a behind-the-scenes live stream. We go live here a lot. Oh, by the way, I made the disclaimer a disclaimer. So look, up there on the website, giantsbaseballcorner.com, there's a new page. Disclaimer, it says in capital letters. So you should go listen to the disclaimer.